Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. It is right now, you're right here. My name is Manuel, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. Today is day one of the show, and I have to congratulate you for making the best decision of the day to spend some time with me. Let's talk. Before we begin, I offer spoiler warnings. You never know what details might pop up from today's show or the last few shows. And if you haven't watched them, I would not want to spoil this for you. So be warned. But other than that, sit back, relax, let's have a conversation, beginning with the bold and beautiful. And specifically, I would like to discuss Katie and Brooke, or Brooke versus Katie would be the better way to put it. And this is not the first time they've had this go around. And consistently, what we see from Brooke is something that can be summed up with a couple words: selfishness, narcissism, but most of all, hypocrisy. And I am certain that the word hypocrisy or hypocrite are ones I'm going to be using quite a bit when we discuss our favorite soaps, The Bold and Beautiful and The Young and the Restless. You see, Brooke has come out of the gate swinging from day one in this latest round. She claims that she wants success for her little sister, but every little thing that Katie has done has seemed to be so offensive to Brooke. But the thing that really got it rolling was the outrage that Brooke showed when it was revealed that the name of the new fashion house would be Logan, as if Brooke had some kind of divine right to that name and no one else could touch it, not her poor little sister. But as we all know, the name Logan, no matter what Brooke says, is not somehow intrinsically linked just to her, because of course she has always been linked to Forrester. And yet, when Katie dared to assert, which is basically her birthright, Brooke lashed out in one of the worst ways possible. And now, of course, that the secret is out about who Katie's secret designer was meant to be, Brooke got even more in Katie's face about this. And in my opinion, even more hypocritical because, of course, Brooke was part of the cabal that pushed poor Eric out of Forrester. As Eric says, he didn't ask for a retirement party. He didn't ask to be retired. So Katie is spot on when she pushes back on Brooke and her wild accusations. Because Brooke isn't coming from a place of actual concern for Eric. Brooke is coming from that place, as I mentioned before, of narcissism, of selfishness, and of course hypocrisy. Because in Brooke's life, there's basically room only for Brooke and to a slightly lesser degree Ridge, as long as that suits her in that moment, because we do know that Brooke can be very fickle. Next, speaking of hypocrisies, let's talk about Will, Elektra, and Dylan. Now, this love triangle that is not really a love triangle, it really rubs me the wrong way, I must say, because Elektra has been presenting two faces even before Ivy interfered. You'll recall that Elektra will, at one moment before all this happened, show herself as being Dylan's very best, caring, loving friend, and then she would snap at Dylan to basically stay away from her man, even though Dylan had done nothing. And we, as the audience, know that on that fateful night that Ivy came snooping around, nothing happened then either. And yet Elektra, who claims, one, to have been such a good friend to Dylan, and two, believes so deeply in Will. After all, remember how she stood by him during the Luna episodes. She wouldn't even give Will a chance to really just lay out, hey, sweetheart, this is my side of the story. I know what your aunt said, but this is what happened. Not at all. Instead, of course, Elektra defaulted to thinking the absolute worst. And may I say that to Will's credit, he did not let himself get steamrolled. He didn't throw his friend out on the street just because his girlfriend was jealous. Now, I appreciate that in reality, anything that would be inappropriate between Will and Dylan would absolutely warrant Elektra's reaction. But again, Elektra never even gave the man a chance to explain himself. And we know that behind the scenes, for whatever reasons, Ivy is working to undermine them. We've seen this now. So there is hypocrisy that abounds. And hypocrisy brings to mind now absurdity, which is the first thing we're going to talk about as far as the young and the restless. Specifically, Cain Ashby and his former life as Dumas, because that is where everything begins that has led to the takedown or takeover or stealing of Newman Enterprises, depending how you want to define it. Specifically, what gets me about this storyline, going back to Dumas, is the absurdity of his children hating their father because he was a secret billionaire. And Lily hating her ex-husband for becoming a secret billionaire and working nonstop to turn their children against him for being a secret billionaire. Now, I don't know about you, but myself, if my father were to reveal to me suddenly that he was a secret billionaire, and not only had he become a secret billionaire, but he had done it with me in mind for my benefit, I would not be angry. So the absurdity of Charlie and Maddie and Lily being furious with Cain for becoming a secret billionaire has always struck me as both hilarious and infuriating. And I asked myself, who are these people that would feel this way? Of course, really, it's the writers. But then we can also ask again about these writers. Who are these people who came up with the idea that any human being would be furious with their father for becoming a secret billionaire? I have ranted about this in my den, screaming at the TV more than once, and I had to share it with you. But since we're talking about the takedown of Newman Enterprises, let's go ahead and discuss more hypocrisy, and that would be Newman hypocrisy, because we're seeing that the Newmans are presenting themselves as victims. A family that has victimized just about everybody in Genoa City since before I began watching, and I've only been watching for about, let's say, maybe 12 to 14 years. It's hard to remember exactly. They have victimized everybody. Even up to just before they took this hit, Victor Newman had wrecked Cain's company, Arabesque, and was determined to obliterate Jabot. Suddenly, the tables are turned on them, and they're all crying about being victims and how unjust this is. And in today's episode here in the States, Victoria makes a comment along the lines that about this being criminal. And then, if you recall, Noah also talks about this being criminal. Specifically, he's trying to chide Audra for being involved in a criminal enterprise because whatever his grandfather may have done in the past, he certainly wouldn't do anything criminal. Now, like I said, I've only been watching for about 12 to 14 years, but in that time, I can recall Victor being arrested at least once. I know there's been more than one occasion. In fact, if I give you a blast from the past, do you recall what Victor did to Jack when he had him replaced with a double? That is as criminal as it gets. That is quite vile. And yet, of course, the Newmans are the victims here. As I said, pure hypocrisy. Well, my friends, I'm going to go ahead and end it on that. But just a quick note about what I would like to do with you guys going forward. This is just a place where we can come and hang out and talk, and I can share my observations with you in a bit of a jovial fashion because, believe me, like I said, sometimes I do find myself yelling at the TV, but I would never yell at you. I just want us to have a good time and enjoy this other aspect of the bold and beautiful and the young and the restless, whether it's the absurdities, whether it's the hypocrisies, whatever it is that you'd like to rant about. Well, that's enough for today. We'll continue tomorrow. And as always, continue to be bold and restless.